Book of Heaven, Volume 16, Part 5. November 8th, 1923. When he came upon earth, Jesus observed, perfected, and abolished the ancient laws in order to establish the new law of grace. In the same way now, as Louisa suffers in the divine will, all the interior states present on the path of the human sanctities, he gives completion to them and gives rise to the sanctity of his will. His privations continue. At the most, he comes like fleeting flash, and while it seems that it may want to make light, one remains in the dark more than before. Now, while I was swimming in the bitterness of his privation, my sweet Jesus made himself seen in my interior, all busy, writing, not with a pen, but with his finger, that emitted rays of light, and that light served him as pen, in order to write in the depth of my soul. I wanted to tell him, who knows how many things about my poor soul, but putting his finger on his lips, he made me understand that I should keep silent, for he did not want to be distracted. Then, after he finished, he told me, "Daughter of my supreme volition, I am writing in your soul the law of my will and the good it brings. First, I want to write it in your soul, and then, little by little, I shall explain it to you." And my Jesus, I want to tell you of the state of my soul. Oh, how bad I feel. Tell me, why do you leave me? What should I do so as not to lose you? And Jesus, do not afflict yourself, my daughter. You must know that when I came upon earth, I came to abolish the ancient laws and to perfect others. But in abolishing them, I did not exempt myself from observing those laws. Rather, I observed them in a more perfect way than others did. But having to unite the old and the new within myself, I wanted to observe them in order to give completion to the ancient laws, placing on them the seal of their abolition, and to give rise to the new law that I came to establish upon earth, a law of grace and of love, by which I enclosed all sacrifices within myself, since I was to be the true and only sacrificed one. Therefore all other sacrifices were no longer necessary, because I, being man and God, this was more than sufficient to satisfy for all. Now, beloved daughter of mine, wanting to make of you a more perfect image of myself, and to give rise to a new sanctity, so noble and divine, that is the fiat voluntas tua on earth as it is in heaven, I want to centralize in you all the interior states that have been until now on the path of sanctity. And as you suffer them and move on, doing this in my will, I give completion to them. I crown them, and embellishing them, I place on them the seal. Everything must end in my will, and there, where the other sanctities end, the sanctity of my will, being noble and divine, has all other sanctities as its footstool, and has its beginning. Therefore let me repeat my life, and that which I did in redemption, with so much love. Now, with greater love, I want to repeat it in you, to set the beginning, that my will and its laws be known. But I want your will united to and dissolved within mine. November 10th, 1923. The Beauty of Littleness. God performs the greatest works in the little ones. For redemption he used the littleness of the Most Holy Virgin. For the Fiat Voluntas Tua, the littleness of Louisa. I was abandoning all of myself in the arms of my sweet Jesus, and while I was praying, I saw my soul as so very little, but of extreme littleness, and I thought to myself, how little I am. Jesus was right in telling me that I was the littlest of all. I would really like to know whether I am the littlest among all. Now, while I was thinking this, my always lovable Jesus, moving in my interior, showed me how he took this little one in his arms and squeezed her tightly to his heart, and she would let Jesus do whatever he wanted with her. And he told me, my dear little one, I have chosen you, little, because the little ones let one do with them whatever he wants. They do not walk by themselves, but let themselves be guided. Even more, they are afraid to place one foot on their own. If they receive gifts, feeling incapable of keeping them, they place them on the lap of their mamma. The little ones are stripped of everything, nor do they care about whether they are rich or poor. They are concerned with nothing. Oh, how beautiful the tender age is, full of grace, of beauty, and of freshness. Therefore, the greater the work I want to do in a soul, the littler I choose her. I like childlike freshness and beauty very much. I like it so much that I preserve these souls in the littleness of the nothingness from which they came. I let nothing of their own enter into them, so as not to let them lose their littleness, and therefore preserve the divine freshness and beauty from which they came. On hearing this, I said, Jesus, my love, it seems to me that I am so very bad, and this is why I am so little. And you are saying that you love me very much because I am little? How can this be? And Jesus again, my little one, badness cannot enter the true little ones. Do you know when growth begins to enter? When one's own will begins to enter. As it enters, the creature begins to fill herself and to live of herself. The all goes out of the littleness of the creature, and it seems to her that her littleness becomes greater, but greatness to be cried over. Since God does not live completely in her, she moves away from her beginning, dishonors her origin, loses the light, the beauty, the sanctity, the freshness of her Creator. She seems to grow before herself, and maybe before men, but before me, oh, how she decreases. She may even become great, but she shall never be my beloved little one, the one whom, taken by love for her, I fill with myself, that she may remain as I created her, and I make of her the greatest, whom no one shall be able to equal. I did so with my celestial mamma. Among all generations, she is the littlest, because her will never entered into her as acting, but always my eternal will. And this not only kept her little, beautiful, fresh, as she had come out of us, but made her the greatest of all. Oh, how beautiful she was, little in herself, but great and superior to all by virtue of ourselves. And only because of her littleness was she lifted up to the height of mother of He who formed her. So as you see, all the good of man is in doing my will. All the evil is in doing his own. Therefore, in order to come to redeem man, I chose my mother because she was little, and I used her as channel in order to let all the goods and fruits of redemption descend upon mankind. Now, so that my will might be known, and heaven might be opened to let my will descend upon earth, and reign on it as it does in heaven, I had to choose another little one among all generations. Since this is the greatest work I want to do, to restore man in his origin, from which he came, to open to him that divine will that he rejected, to open my arms to him, to receive him once again into the womb of my will, my infinite wisdom calls the littlest one out of nothing. It was just that she be little. If I placed a little one at the head of redemption, I had to place another little one at the head of the fiat voluntas tua, on earth as it is in heaven. Between two little ones, I was to enclose the purpose of the creation of man. I was to realize my designs upon him. Through one, I was to redeem him, wash him of his ugliness with my blood, and give him forgiveness. Through the other one, I was to make him return to his beginning, to his origin, to the lost nobility, to the bonds of my will broken by him, admitting him once again to the smile of my eternal will, kissing each other and living one within the other. This alone was the purpose of the creation of man, and what I have established, no one shall be able to oppose. Centuries upon centuries shall go by. Just as in redemption, so also in this. But man shall return into my arms as he was created by me. But in order to do this, first I have to choose the one who must be the first to live life in my eternal will, bind in her all the relations of creation, and live with her with no split of wills, rather, with her will and ours as one. From here, the necessity that she be the littlest that we issue in creation, so that in seeing herself as so little, she may shun her will. Even more, she may bind it so tightly to ours as to never do her will. And though little, she may live together with us, from the blowing of that breath with which we created man. Our will preserves her fresh and beautiful. She forms our smile, our amusement, and we do with her whatever we want. Oh, how happy she is! And enjoying her littleness and her happy destiny, she shall cry for her brothers, and shall occupy herself with nothing else but compensating us for all and for each one of all the wrongs they do to us by withdrawing from our will. The tears of one who lives in our will shall be powerful, more so, since she wants nothing but what we ourselves want. And after the first channel of redemption, through her, We shall open the second one of the Fiat Voluntas Tua on earth as it is in heaven." On hearing this, I said, "My love and my all, tell me, who shall this fortunate little one be? Oh, how I would like to know her!" And he immediately, "What? Have you not understood who she is? It is you, my little one. I have told you many times that you are the little one, and this is why I love you." But as he was saying this, I felt as though I was being transported outside of myself into a most pure light, in which one could see all generations, as though divided into two wings, one on the right and the other on the left of the throne of God. At the head of one wing there was the august Queen Mama, from whom descended all the goods of redemption. Oh, how beautiful was her littleness! Marvelous, prodigious littleness! Little and powerful, little and great, little and queen. Little, with everyone hanging upon her littleness, while she disposes of everything, rules over all, and only because she is little, she enfolds the Word within her littleness, making him descend from heaven to earth, to let him die for love of men. At the head of the other wing, one could see another little one, and, I say it trembling, and to obey, she was the one whom Jesus had called his little daughter of the divine will. And my sweet Jesus, placing himself in the middle of these two wings, between the two little ones who were at the head of them, with one hand took mine, and with the other that of the Queen Mama, and he joined them together, saying, "My little daughters, hold each other's hand before our throne, and embrace the eternal divine majesty in your little arms. To you alone, because you are little, is it given to embrace the Eternal One, the Infinite One, and to enter into him. And if the first little one snatched redemption from the love of the Eternal One, so may the second, her hand held by the first, be helped by her to snatch from the eternal love the Fiat Voluntas Tua on earth as it is in heaven." Now who can say what happened? I have no words to be able to express myself. I can only say that I remained more humiliated and confounded, and almost like a fussy little girl. I wanted my Jesus, in order to tell him of my fears, of my doubts. And I prayed that he would cast all these things away from me, as I feared that the mere thought of them was a subtle pride, and that he would give me the grace to really love him and to do his most holy will in everything. Then my always lovable Jesus, coming back again, made himself seen inside of me, and my person served as though to cover him inside of me. And without letting me speak, he told me, "My poor little one, what do you fear? Courage, I am he who shall do everything in my little daughter. You shall do nothing but follow me faithfully, won't you? You are right that you are too little and can do nothing, but I shall do everything in you. Don't you see how I am within you, and you are nothing but the shadow that covers me. I am he who shall cross within you the eternal and unending boundaries of my will. He who shall embrace all generations in order to bring them, together with your shadow, to the feet of the Eternal One, so that the two wills, the human and the divine, may kiss each other, may smile at each other, and may no longer look at each other like strangers, being separated, scowling at each other, but one may be fused within the other, forming one single will. It is the power of your Jesus that must do this. You must do nothing but adhere. I know that you are nothing and can do nothing, and this is why you afflict yourself. But it is the strength of my arm that wants and can operate, and I like to operate great things in the littlest ones. And besides, the life of my will has already been on earth. It is not completely new, although it was as though in passing. It existed in my inseparable and dear Mamma. If the life of my will had not been in her, I, Eternal Word, could not have descended from heaven. I would have lacked the way through which to descend, the room in which to enter, the humanity with which to cover my divinity, the food to nourish myself. I would have lacked everything, because all other things are not suitable for me. But by finding my will in my beloved Mamma, I found my very own heaven, my joys, my contentments. At most I exchanged my dwelling from heaven to earth, but as for the rest, I changed nothing. That which I had in heaven, I found on earth by virtue of my will possessed by her. And therefore, with all love, I descended into her to take on human flesh. Then my will had its life on earth in my humanity, by virtue of which I formed the redemption. Not only this, but by virtue of my will, I laid myself over all the works of the human generations, sealing them with my divine acts, and I beseeched my Father not only to redeem man, but that, at the appropriate time, man might win the favor of our will, as when he was created, so as to live according to the purpose wanted by us, that the will of heaven and that of the earth be one. It would not have been a work worthy of me had I not rehabilitated man in everything, as he was created. It would be a work half done, not whole, and your Jesus does not know how to do incomplete works. At the most, I wait centuries to give the complete good prepared by me. Therefore, don't you want to be with me in giving man the work that I completed with my coming upon earth? So, be attentive and faithful. Do not fear. I shall always keep you little, so as to be able to complete more my designs upon you. November 15th, 1923. In order to come to reign upon earth, the divine will, wants to find the one who would receive it, comprehend it, and love it for all. So did the celestial Mama, in order to obtain the redemption. The creature is incapable of receiving the works of her Creator all at once. This is why she needs to receive minor things first, to dispose herself to receive greater ones. I felt as though sunken in the holy will of God, and it seemed to me that in my interior, my sweet Jesus amused himself very much in sending me light, and I felt as though eclipsed within that
everything
light.
was done by me.
I felt
The plane
my
of
mind
redemption,
being filled so much
and that of the
that I
fiat
could not contain
voluntas
it,
tua on
the
earth
point
as
that
it
I
is in
said,
heaven.
Jesus, my heart, don't you know that I am little? I cannot contain what you want to put into my intelligence. And Jesus, little daughter of mine, do not fear. Your Jesus shall let you drink this light in sips, so that you may receive it and comprehend it. Do you know what this light means? It is the light of my will. It is that divine will, rejected by other creatures, that wanting to come to reign upon earth, wants to find someone who would receive it, comprehend it, and love it. In order to come and reign, it wants to find a little soul who would offer herself to receive all those acts that the Supreme Will had destined for each creature, to make them happy and holy, and to give them the goods it contains. Now, this happiness, sanctity, and goods that the Eternal Will issued in order to communicate them to the creature, as it issued the whole creation, are out and suspended. And if it does not find the one who would receive them, so as to give it all the homages, honors, and corteges that the other creatures have not given to it, it cannot come to reign upon earth. Therefore, your task is to embrace all generations in order to receive all the acts of the Supreme Will that they rejected, together with all the goods it contains. If you do not do so, my eternal will cannot put itself in feast to come and reign. It shall have the tears of the past sorrow, of how ungratefully it was rejected, and one who cries does not reign. Therefore, it wants that the acts of its volition, destined for each creature, receive reparation. And not only this, but it wants someone who with love wants to receive its happiness and what it contains. And I, Jesus, my love, how can I do this? I am too little, and also a bad little one, and you know it. Even more, I fear I am unable to do it even for myself. How can I do it for others? And he again, this is precisely why I have chosen you, and keep you little, so that you may do nothing by yourself, but always together with me. I do know that, little as you are good at nothing. At the most, at making me smile with your little trifles. Therefore your Jesus shall take care of everything. This is necessary, just as it was necessary so that I might come to accomplish the redemption that a little daughter of ours, my Mama, take on as her task to receive within herself all the acts of our will rejected by creatures. She made them her own. She welcomed them with decorum. She loved them, repaired them, requited them, to the point of filling their whole expanses, as much as is possible for a creature. So when the divinity saw, in this little one, its will for creation reintegrated, not only for herself, but for all others, it felt so drawn that in addition to the many acts of its will in creation, it emitted the greatest act, the most sublime, the most prodigious, that this little one be she to be raised to the exclusive and unique dignity of mother of her very Creator. I, eternal Word, could never have descended from heaven had I not found my will in her, reintegrated, just as we wanted it to be in the creature. What was then the cause that made me come upon earth? My will existing in a little creature. What did I care if she was little? All I cared about was that my will be safe in her, with no split on the part of her human will. Once our will was safe, all our rights were restored. The creature would place herself in order with her Creator, and the Creator would place himself in order with the creature. The purpose of creation was already fulfilled. Therefore we came to the deeds, that the Word would be made flesh, first to redeem man, and then so that our will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Ah, yes, it was my mamma who, taking into herself the whole of our will, issued for the good of creation, darted through the divinity with divine arrows, in such a way that, wounded by our own arrows, the Word was drawn into her womb like a powerful magnet. Nothing can we deny to the one who possesses our will. See, then, the necessity for which I want another creature to offer herself, to receive into herself all the acts of my will that I issued in creation, so as to give completion to that fiat that I came to bring upon earth, and that was welcomed and understood only by my mamma. And this is why there was no division between me and her. The divinity wants to be wounded once again with its own darts, in order to give the generations this great good, that my will reign in them. Since this is the greatest thing it wants to give, the true origin of man, a human will is not enough to impetrate it, and even less to wound the divinity. But it takes a divine will, with which the soul, filling herself with it, may wound her Creator with his own arrows, in such a way that, wounded, he may open the heavens and let his will descend upon earth. More so, since he shall find his noble cortege, all the acts of his will lined up in the creature who has snatched from him this solemn act, that his will come to reign on earth with its complete triumph. On hearing this, I said to him, "My beloved good, your speaking confounds me. Even more, it annihilates me, to the point that I feel like a little newborn whose members are not yet well formed, and therefore it is necessary to swaddle her. And while swaddling clothes are necessary to me so that I may be formed, you want to unswaddle me. But to do what? To make me stretch out my little baby hands and embrace your eternal will? My Jesus, don't you see? I cannot reach. I cannot grab it. I am too little. And besides, if it pleases you so much that your will reign upon earth, why have you waited so long? And why, when you came upon earth, did you not do both things yourself? That is, the redemption and the fiat voluntas tua on earth as it is in heaven? You had strong and long arms to be able to embrace your endless will? See? See, O Jesus, mine are weak and short. How can I do that? And he again, poor little child, you are right. My speaking confounds you. The light of my will eclipses you, and renders you the true newborn of the supreme will. Come into my arms. I shall swaddle you with the swaddling clothes of my own will, that it may strengthen your members with its strength. In this way it shall be easy for you to clasp in your little arms that eternal will, that with so much love wants to come and reign within you. So I flung myself into his arms to let Jesus do to me whatever he wanted. Then again he added, I could very well have done both things myself when I came upon earth, but the creature is not capable of receiving the work of her Creator all at once, and I myself delight in giving always new surprises of love. And besides, the creature had profaned her taste with her own will. She had caused the breath of her soul to stink with so many ugly things as to be disgusting to me. She had reached the point of having a taste for the most revolting things, to the point of letting a rotten fluid flow over the three powers of her soul, such that her nobility could no longer be recognized. Therefore first I had to take care of all this with my redemption, giving her all the remedies, giving all these evils the bath of my blood in order to wash them. Had I wanted to do both things, since man was so dirty, blind, and deaf, rendered so by his human will, he would not have had the eyes of the intelligence to comprehend my will, nor the ears to listen to it, nor the heart to receive it. And my will, not being understood and finding no place in which to dwell, would have turned back to heaven again. Therefore it was necessary that man comprehend the goods of redemption first, so as to dispose himself to comprehend the good of the fiat voluntas tua on earth as it is in heaven. The same would have happened with you also, if at the beginning, when I began to speak to you, I had spoken to you about my will. You would not have understood. I would have behaved like a teacher, who instead of teaching the first letters of the alphabet to his disciple, wanted to teach him sciences and foreign languages. Poor boy, he would get confounded and would learn nothing. Instead, I wanted to speak to you of suffering, of the virtues, things which are more accessible and more tangible for the human nature, and that can be called the alphabet of the Christian life, the language of the exile, and of those who aspire to the celestial fatherland. On the other hand, my will is the language of heaven, and it begins there, where all other sciences and virtues end. My will is queen that culminates everything and crowns every one in such a way that before the sanctity of my will, all other virtues shrink and tremble. This is why I wanted to act as your teacher of the alphabet first, to dispose your intelligence, to then move on to act as your celestial and divine teacher, who only knows about the language of the fatherland and of the highest science that my will contains. First, I had to remove from you the taste for anything, because the human will has this poison. It makes one lose taste for the divine will. In all created things, since they had come out of me, I had placed a divine taste. But by doing her will, even in holy things, the soul does not find this taste. So in order to let you enjoy the taste of my will alone, I am attentive not to let you taste anything else, that I may dispose you to receive more sublime lessons about my will. If this was necessary for you, more so for the whole church, to which I had to make known the minor things first, and then the greatest of all, that is my will. You have reached the end of the Book of Heaven, Volume 16, Part 5. Fiat.